Man, it would be just fantastic if we could take the show back there. Might even get the boys to sing because McAfee and Saban have zero problem singing country roads before the show starts.
You heard it right there, and from the leader of the team himself. College GameDay, I think, would seriously consider coming to the Backyard Brawl, and I am here for it.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, and no, your eyes aren't deceiving you. I have a Dr. Pepper cap on. Don't worry. I'm still repping Dr. Pepper. But I do have a standby do as well. No sponsors here, but hey, maybe they will sponsor me at some point. I don't know. I just like Dr. Pepper and I like dew. What do you want from me? Let's get with the show, though. How about that? Appreciate you guys for joining in. I haven't been feeling great today. I almost didn't do a show. I'm struggling. So just work with me here, guys. Sometimes I may need to pause or something, but I'm trying to, I don't know. I feel like my body's trying to fight something off. You know how you get the real achy skin? That's what I've got right now. Okay, so obviously that's a big topic. Game day to the Backyard Brawl, and I have a ton of things to say about that. Like literally, I've got an entire sheet notebook page filled out of things reasons I think that game is a no-brainer. Unless the both teams are 1 and 2 or 0 and 3. It's a no-brainer to do it. And it has literally nothing to do with the state of college football. It's all about nostalgia, man. It's all about what football used to be like. So I guess it kind of is about the state of college football a little bit, but we're going to talk about that. But first, let's talk about West Virginia's newest Mountaineer, because I know that's why a lot of you guys are here. Ryan Ward, big old hoss cat from North Carolina, is now a Mountaineer. Thought maybe he would go to Virginia at some points last week, and the coaches did a really good job reining this kid into Morgantown. He's got some good film. I'm still working through it. So let's get to the breakdown on Ryan Ward, though. Obviously, he's a big kid, 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds. He's from Rutherford, New Jersey, which is like, kind of surprising. He's not at Stanford Rutgers in some ways, but at the same time, it's not West Virginia, so I get why. Coming in from UNC, he's got 3 years remaining, which is kind of, this coaching staff, they've been very particular about certain positions where they've been leaving time on the shelf for some of these guys. Tight ends don't transfer a lot, so maybe that's a position where, unless they're just really freaking good, maybe you just reload there every year, right? And let a guy grow into a role in the meantime. So I get that. So he entered the portal on April 25th, and a week later, he's a Mountaineer. So he committed to West Virginia, adding to, obviously, Grayson Barnes in the room, and it's starting to look like a really good room. And that's not even counting who we picked up in the earlier cycle. So he played in 9 games in 2024. Yeah, he had, 8 snaps at tight end. 7 were as a run blocker. He was also used on special teams. His run blocking grade was 70 on Pro Football Focus, which is pretty good for a freshman. And he just wasn't utilized as a pass catcher at North Carolina. His tape shows that he can do it. You look at his tape, 85 catches, 1,823 yards, 27 touchdowns, guys. This kid is still developing in some ways, but you can even go back and look at some of his UNC stuff. And he can absolutely run. He can absolutely be a receiving threat as well. This has everything to do with North Carolina not utilizing him. That's it. That's the only reason he's probably left, if I had to guess. So maybe the Belichick thing's weird for him. I don't know. They went back-to-back 10-1 seasons, 3 consecutive NJIC titles while he was in high school, so he's used to winning. High upside player, guys. He really is. He's not at his full potential yet. And he comes into a room with 6 tight ends, right? 3 of those guys are in their last season, though. So he does have a clear path forward to a significant role in 2026, 2027. And I think, he's a complete tight end. He's blocker and he's a receiver. You got to have those. And we need a guy that can get on the edge and push people around, to replace what we've lost. So we lost Jack to Alabama. So, obviously we need to fill that role again. Samarco, Jack Samarco, because for those of you who were listening, didn't realize who Jack was. So, it says, some of the stuff I've read says the visit to West Virginia was very pivotal for that decision. And we hear that a lot, guys. People come to West Virginia, they're blown away by the facilities. I've heard that from multiple people. As a matter of fact, at Aiden Bustle, we had him on the other day. He said that they're better than Tennessee's an SEC school. So just to give you a reference, people come to West Virginia and probably don't expect these great facilities. And typically that part of the visit, even though these days it's not as big a deal, definitely impacts people. If you're splitting hairs at the end, having all the stuff in the facility does matter. So he was a 3-star player coming out of high school, but everybody recruited him. You look at who was recruiting him, he literally had everybody after him. It's a who's who of who wanted this kid. So, I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a high upside player. He's going to be in a room with 6 other tight ends, or maybe he's number 6. I have to look again. And I think it's going to be fun to watch him develop and possibly play this year. I think he's got the talent to get on the field. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But when you look at who's in the room with him, that's where you start to wonder, okay, where is he going to get on the field this year? I don't know. I think he's definitely top 3, but you get to Noah Braham, Greg Ginross, Colin McBee, then you got Jacob Barrick, Grayson Barnes. I can see him over Colin McBee. I can see him over Noah Braham. But then you get to Jacob Barrick, Grayson Barnes, and it's like, I don't know. And the fact that they brought so many in, I'm just going to be honest, it makes me question Greg Ginross some. I really thought he had the high upside, a lot of upside, Greg Ginross, and I'm starting to wonder now, if maybe there hasn't been enough time for them to decide yet. But I mean, my expectations were sorry about the stutter. My expectations were through the roof for Greg Ginross for sure. So interesting for him. He was rated as the number 12 player in New Jersey, number 9 tight end nationally. And the biggest thing he was noted for was that versatility, able to absolutely just devastate people in blocking, and a great pass catcher as well, as you saw. He 247 had him ranked a lot higher. We're not even going to go over that because it's disrespectful. The number 1,117 player overall seems to be a big miss. I don't know how you can have somebody down that far on the line. I mean, that goes to North Carolina and plays in 8 games his freshman year. Seems to me like he was probably better than that. Those are the kids, they go group of 5 when they're down that low. A lot of times, the number 59 tight end and number 21 in New Jersey. So ESPN and 247 disagreed like crazy over this kid. Interesting, man. It's weird how this is so wildly different. The scouting notes, you always look at what scouts say about people. Hold on, I missed my spot here. Scouts say he's a jack of all trades. That's what he is. He's soft hands, great route runner for a tight end, and he has a very thick frame that he can use to add weight for blocking. On defense, he showed pass rushing ability, guys. And here's the thing. Rich Rod said a couple months ago that they were going to bring in some players that could play both. I'm curious to see if maybe Ryan Ward is one of those guys. I'm going to see if somebody will ask that question at some point, because I'm curious, man. Why would Rich Rod wouldn't have said it if they weren't thinking about it? This dude was a really good linebacker in high school. He could have played G5 ball probably at linebacker. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he could play special teams defense, those kind of things, where you got to make up for bodies, especially if they cut us down to 105. We'll see where it goes. Freddie Kitchens, the offensive tight ends coach at North Carolina, said he was a very hardworking kid that has a lot of potential. And then, Ward said about Kitchens, he's the best tight ends coach he's ever met, but that's until he met Coach Trickett, of course. Obviously, out of high school, he had everybody from Alabama, Virginia Tech, Virginia, North Carolina, Tulane, Pittsburgh, Temple, Princeton, Georgia Tech, Duke, Brown, Boston College, West Virginia, which Neil Brown and the previous staff seemed to have recruited him. I remember when we lost out on him, actually. He was a basketball, track and field guy, all conference in discus and javelin, that and this and the other. On tape, guys, like I said, what he does well is he drives people into the dirt. He is an absolute monster of a human being. He's 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds. And if he gets his hands on you, you're going for a ride. Bye-bye. Hot piss meter. Composite score out of 50, which is basically a transfer portal impact meter. Let's get a hot piss meter. Athleticism, I think he's a 7.5 out of 10. He's 6'3", 6'4", 245. He's a multi-sport kid. He played multiple different sports. I think he's got above average athleticism for a tight end, absolutely. And his high school receiving stats, 85 catches for 1823, show extremely good hands and body control. And the scouting reports said he lacks elite speed. That's the only thing that he lacks, apparently. And on tape, you can see that. I wouldn't say he has elite speed at all. But the great thing at tight end is you don't need elite speed. It absolutely helps, don't get me wrong, but you can refine. There are plenty of tight ends that have been really good that ran 4.8 and played for years in the NFL. It's all about how smart you are, getting to your spots, knowing where the chains are, knowing how to run routes, knowing where soft places in zone is, that kind of stuff, guys. Blocking ability, I think, is a 7.8 out of 10. He's demonstrated dominance as a run blocker at both UNC and in high school. And he also had 17 sacks, like we said, in high school. So that shows that he can probably handle inline blocking, although he's got limited college snaps, guys. Receiving skills, I think, is a 7.8 out of 10. His high school production is insanity. Scouting reports do praise that he's got soft hands. The tape shows that he runs solid routes, not fast, not slow, just right there in the middle. And I don't think he's not going to come in and be a pass catcher right away. This is something he'll develop into. So that could go up. Program fits an 8.5 out of 10. He's a hard-nosed player. You see it on tape. I think that aligns with what Coach Rod wants. He's multidimensional, and maybe he can even play defense like Coach Rod wants, which would definitely bump that up a lot on special teams. Now, I'm not saying on defense like every down or anything like that. 3 years of eligibility left. That's a big deal. Thinning tide. We got a thinning room coming in 2025. At least 3 guys are leaving, probably more than that. So his upside is an 8.4 out of 10. I think, at the end of the day, guys, he's a former 3-star, but he was recruited by everybody, and he has significant room to grow. Limited at UNC on the snaps, but he's a raw talent. I think his high school dominance, physical tools, everything that I've looked at here suggests he could become a standout with the proper development, giving a composite hot piss meter of 40 out of 50, right below nuclear piss. So he is right there on the hot piss margin, which is good. He pisses hot. That's what we like. That's pretty much it, guys. I think he was a big ad. Absolutely. Certainly think that this is a situation where they realized they needed an inline blocking tight end at the loss of Samarco that can catch it a little bit, and they went out and got him. I do know they're actively talking with another tight end out there right now that's more of a receiving tight end. We'll see if they end up coming to Morgantown. I wouldn't be shocked, but I've been talking with him today. I'll let you guys know the name of that kid if you're in my Discord. For those of you that don't have the link to the Discord, it's probably in the chat. If it's not, we'll get it to you. Yeah, Raven's got it in the chat. Thank you, Raven. So if you want to get in the Discord after the show, I'll let you guys know in there who I'm talking about. But West Virginia is definitely recruiting another tight end, and maybe you already know. I've already mentioned it before. So that's it. I think this is a good ad. I really like Ryan. I think he's got a great looking family, and expecting a lot out of him. So wishing Ryan the best, guys. Let's go to break. On the other side of the break, this is what I want to talk about. I'm going to lie here. Backyard Brawl and Game Day seems like a match in heaven. And I'm going to lay it all out for you guys, exactly why I think this should happen. Let's talk about it next. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more because experts are ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives you business flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. And whether you're actually needing extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, what have you, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Find the right talent, guys. That's what you got to do. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. If you want fast and easy hiring, you can post a job. It's free and simple. And then another day later, you should have multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Visit Upwork.com today. Post your job for free. That's right. It's free. And that's upwork.com, upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. It's segment 2. Let's crack a do, guys. So, got to looking around, found a podcast with Rich Rod on it today. You know, I'm a keywords guy. I basically Google the same keywords every single day. Things that I'm interested in. I Google West Virginia football, then I Google West Virginia basketball, then I Google Richard Rodriguez, not Richard, but Rich. And then any individual people that I need to know about, or coaches that I'm looking for any kind of news. I usually do Pat McAfee, just different ones to see what pops up because you can't monitor everything. There's no way. And just like I thought a few hours before that, there was a podcast with Rich Rodriguez on it where he talked about everything from, like the media tour he's been on all off season, guys, where he's kind of talked about everything from leaving West Virginia the first time to expectations to this time. But there was a lot of reminiscing going on, obviously. And one of the biggest things they talked about was game day to Morgantown. And Rich Rod was kind of advocating for it a little bit. I think he was, what's the word I want to use here? He was trying to get them to come, right? For lack of a better word. And so what I did was, and then you've seen what they said at the end, after Rich Rod got off, I let you hear in the beginning. If you didn't hear it, they basically, it's Reese Davis who hosts College GameDay and has, from what I've read, just a ton of pull as to where they go. It's a democratic effort. At the end of the day, TV ratings rule. But I could make a case that in this day and age, with the world we live in, the way football is, if you just want to go back and experience what college football used to be like, there's one game on the entire 2025 schedule that does it better than any other, and that's West Virginia Pitt. And here's why I say that. So I've got this stuff written out here. Let me make sure I have it in the right order, but if I don't, I don't. So, okay. Obviously, the West Virginia versus Pitt goes back to 1895. We know that. But the 2025 matchup is going to be a high-stakes game, guys. It's going to be super high stakes. Both programs are under a lot of pressure. I think Pat Narduzzi's kind of up against it this year. Rich Rodriguez in his first year. And it's literally on 9/13, which we've known about this since the schedule dropped. But, the score for those that may not know the history of this, in 2007, West Virginia was one game away from the national championship game, and all they had to do was beat Pitt. Now, the number I have said for years was 33.5-point favorites, but I'm told that changed right before the game, and I never knew all these years till recently that it was like 28 points or something. But either way, it was at least 4 scores, or maybe it was 3+. But either way, it was a huge margin, right? One of those ones that just very, very rarely get covered. So it was the game ended up being a 13-9 game. Pat White basically broke his thumb. Pat McAfee missed kicks that he never misses that West Virginia would have won, even if, those things would have happened. Even though those things would have happened anyway, Pat would have made his kicks. We'd have been all right. And obviously there goes our national championship hopes. The last major one we've had a chance to get to in football and may ever have a chance to get to. I mean, I love Rich Rod's been out there saying that we're going to get back there, and it's great. But, it still feels like this many years into the Neil Brown era that it's almost impossible now. We've lost so much momentum. But, so obviously it was a huge upset. We were ranked second in the country, and the Ohio State Suckeyes ended up playing in the national championship game against LSU instead, which is even worse for me personally because I've lived some of my life in Ohio and hate the Buckeyes worse than Pitt. So it's about a similar level. So, obviously that was like, and all my friends from Ohio were just, they loved it. They loved it. I've never forgotten it to this day, y'all. Never, but he missed, Pat McAfee missed 2 field goals, 35 and 31. There's that. Then there's the date symbolism we mentioned, which is 9/13, 13/9. Rich Rod's departure, which has happened literally right after the game. Right after the game, Rodriguez left West Virginia for Michigan, a move that shocked West Virginia fans. But famously, he turned down the Alabama offer right before this, right? And Nick Saban is also going to be here. So this is another storyline I guarantee you they'll go down if they come to this game. Not only will they go into Rich Rod in Michigan, they're going to go into the Rich Rod not taking Alabama, which led to Nick Saban taking Alabama storyline as well. That's right there for the plucking if you do this game. Obviously, that's just, is there one thing in the history of college football that's been more, I don't know what you want to call it, impactful than Rodriguez not taking Bama? Saban goes on to win 6 national championships, creating the dynasty of all dynasties. I do believe Rich Rodriguez would have been successful there. To this extent, no. But I think he would have been in the conversation for some national championships there. They would have embraced this style a lot more than Michigan did, who are the uppity kind of people that don't – they claim to be blue-collar, but it's different. So – and it's a spread offense. So it's kind of like back then, especially, it was looked on as soft. So, obviously you could frame this as a comeback, chance to rewrite history and legacy for Rich Rod. Pat McAfee's going to be there, who has literally rode the hype bus for Rich Rod to come back to West Virginia. He's going to be there at the stadium on the panel where this is happening. You can have visits from so many big celebrities, so many people that remember this game. You can literally reminisce all the horrible feelings, guys. And just imagine how much pressure and how much hurt that this could take off of some of us to do this. Now, whether they win the game or not is going to matter a lot anyways. And, but if they could do it with game day there, it would take it to a whole other level, right? That's what I'm trying to say here. And it could educate the audience. I think there's a lot of people that are starting to forget about or not know about this, which is, it's just starting to become like that long ago, guys. It's hard to believe. But, I was a very young man when this happened, 22, 23 years old. How old was I? Let's see. 22, 23, somewhere in there. So, and that's not even saying here that that's not even what am I trying to say? Where are we at on time here? Let's go to break. We'll come back and I'll finish my point because there is like so many other points to make about this. There really are. We'll be right back, guys. Stick around. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a playoff game, hitting the game-winning shot, breakout player like Halliburton hit a shot the other night that was pretty damn good. There's never been a better time to get in on the action, and that's why FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, same game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and big. Are you new to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up. Head over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Basketball Association. Sorry about that, guys. They changed a few things about that ad read up, and I was sitting here like, what? Oh, sorry, guys. I'm having my hip hurting a little bit here. I've been sitting here too long today. Okay, so back to my other point. Let me see here. So, that's not even scratching the surface of the atmosphere. Can you imagine, honestly, just let yourself imagine a coal rush, because that's what it would have to be. I'd bet you $100 to 1,000 donuts, or $1 to a donut, or however the saying goes. I'll up that a lot. It would be the greatest. I think it would be the greatest of all time as far as atmospheres go in Morgantown. Am I hyping this up too much? I would like somebody to tell me in the chat. If you're on podcast, let me know. Let me know. Come find me over on X at Paul Mountaineer. So by the way, guys, for those of you that I want to clarify this here. There's a question mark on this game day to the Backyard Brawl. They're talking about doing it. It's not done. And if I led anybody to believe that, I wasn't trying to do that. That's why I led with the UNC tight end committing, because obviously it's the Backyard Brawl. Okay, cool. I was just making sure. Because I was reading the chat and I thought somebody thought maybe that I'd said that it was happening. Here's what I'm trying to say is you saw the clip. If you haven't seen the clip, rewind back to the beginning of the show and listen to what Reese Davis said, or better yet, go watch the show. It's a great show. I mean, I had a ball listening to all of them talk to Rich Rod about all this. But I was caught up in the nostalgia, and so were they. That's the thing about this interview that really caught me up in this idea is they want it too. Reese Davis was there. Rich Rod was there. And so was, what's the other guy that's the big Andy Staples, I think. Is that him? Or no, maybe it's not Andy Staples, but it's one of those guys like that. Pete Thamel. That's who it was. Pete Thamel. So it was Pete Thamel, it was Rich Rod, and Pete Thamel mentioned a really cool moment where in 2007, he went and found an interview in the archives between him and Rich Rod, where he was talking about the beginnings of the spread offense and all this. So it's nostalgic for everybody involved. And there's so many storylines. Like I said, if I'm pitching this to ESPN, I'm saying, look, first of all, the atmosphere will rival any atmosphere you do on game day this year. I guarantee it. It will be an all-black coal rush at night against Pitt in the Backyard Brawl. The last one we play in for, well, maybe next year is, but might even be the last one we play in for a few years. One of the great rivalries that doesn't get a lot of publicity because both teams have been kind of bad lately. And it was gone for 10 years. But anyway, the rivalry's there. You got that box checked. The atmosphere will rival any atmosphere you'll ever find in the history of College GameDay, I believe, on that night. I'm not saying Morgantown, we've had some duds here lately because of Neil Brown and other factors. It's not Neil's fault. He did the best he could. I believe that. But, I mean, he did horrible, right? Sweet Caroline, absolutely. Sweet Caroline there. You imagine the Bear being there, or whoever's Sanford Steve now, asking all these these old school questions like he does for those events sometimes. You've got the Nick Saban being there. Unfortunately, you might even have a Lee Corso pop in from virtual. I don't know. But I'm sitting here like I'm actually frame. I'm actually working for ESPN trying to pitch this now. But there's the Nick Saban, Rich Rodriguez thing, like we talked about. Rich Rodriguez don't take Alabama. Nick Saban gets the Alabama job, turns into the greatest job in the history of college football, and Rich Rodriguez goes and does what he does, which was not good at Michigan and partially Arizona. And before getting on his redemption track at Louisiana Monroe, and on to Ole Miss, and on to Jack State, and now back to Morgantown, the long way back. And can he do it at 61 years old? Can he have this redemption story, this prodigal son moment? And could we all witness it? Could we all witness history? Would you be able to cut my head off and not make me spend all my money to get a ticket to that? No, you couldn't. There's not an amount that I wouldn't spend. There isn't. I'm serious. 2,000, I'd probably spend it. Like, to me, anyways. It means that much to me. But there's a lot more reasons than I've even said on camera, So whenever, so I'll go into one quick personal detail for you guys. You guys know my addiction history. It goes back a long time. Thankfully, 5 years clean for anybody that's new listening. But so I was in rehab in 2007. Believe it or not, I was young. I wasn't ready to change at all, but that's neither here nor there. So that game comes on, and you had to be in the place for 30 days to be able to watch any TV. And so I watched that game in rehab in a situation where it's in Ohio. It's a lockdown facility. Like, it's not one like on the streets. It's a correctional facility kind of rehab where you get sentenced there for 6 months. And so you had to be there 30 days to be able to watch TV. And I'm sitting here watching this, talking about we're going to the national championship game and Ohio State's not. Ha, 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 ha. And literally every single person there is an Ohio State fan. So I had the simultaneous West Virginia balling out of it and losing and everything the way it happened, Ohio State getting in, all at the same time. Unbelievable. I'll never forget that. And I went to my bed and cried like a baby over it. And I would again, probably, I've always taken it too seriously. I've broken fans. I'm sure some of you guys can relate. So anyways, fast forward, I get to go on a what they call a furlough, which is like, you get to go home for a week or whatever. And I got to spend time with my dad, and that was during the Fiesta Bowl versus Sam Bradford and Oklahoma, and got to spend time with him. And I have great memories of that day, beating Oklahoma and everything that meant to West Virginia at the time. The map that was one, everywhere else was blue, but the only state that was red was West Virginia, or vice versa. It may have been the only state that was blue was West Virginia, and everywhere else was red, but you get what I'm saying. And you had Owen Schmidt and that breakout game that he had, and what he said afterwards in the press on the field, how much it meant to him. I'll never forget it. Anyway, so, those years were very big for me, and the memories I have are so good. And, to relive that in this new setting with the portal, and it would be so wild in so many ways. Like, none of these players are really here, long-term like they used to be. But for one night, I think we would all forget about all this racial division that's happening in the world right now. Everything is becoming a black-white issue. Wars are being started everywhere. And that's exactly why sports are so important. Some people say it's to keep people entertained and not looking where they should look. But I choose to believe that it's the ultimate release and the ultimate way for us to come together for a common purpose in the state, especially in the state of West Virginia, where nobody loves us but us. So 48-28. That's right. Passwords. My passwords to certain things were 70-33 for a long time. I had to change it, but yeah, yeah, it was like my debit card password for a long time. Don't ever take my debit card. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for getting me talk about this. Hopefully, it's as passionate of a subject to you as it is to me. I would do anything if the Backyard Brawl could actually come to Morgantown. Could you imagine it, guys? I mean, I would just absolutely, I would be fit to be tied, So thank you guys for letting me talk about this. And I appreciate you. Wish me luck. Hopefully I'm not catching on to anything. I'm feeling a little better now that we've had a chance to talk. So maybe I just need to get on here and talk today. I took a break the last couple of days and only did one. So I'm going to have to get back to it. But I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Keep an eye on everything. Like there's a cop talking to one player that's literally waiting for the coaches to say, okay, you can come. Like this is a Power 5 player, by the way. You all should come find me in Discord after this. There's a Power 5 player out there that wants to come to West Virginia. But there's no more nuance to it, but I'll explain it in the Discord if you guys want to hear about it after this. I got to do my video. I got to put my video up on the TV station where our videos play, and then I also have to put it up on podcasts, but I'll be there 10 minutes after that. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Congrats to Ryan Ward for making it to Morgantown. Welcome. Be really happy to see him develop, and then obviously the Backyard Brawl and come to Morgantown will be an amazing experience, guys. Like the video before you go, please, and hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. Drop a comment below. Tell me how you would like, love, or hate the Backyard Brawl being on game day again. I can't see why that would happen, but maybe you're a Pitt fan. I don't know. What else was there? Oh, yeah. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. And then for your second one, guys, the NFL draft. That's right. Keith Sanchez, Damian Parson, doing an excellent job as your favorite collegiate players get ready for the next level. Get the latest draft rankings and rumors and news every day. Find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I will see you on the next one. Been a great day to be a Mountaineer. Hopefully tomorrow's better. We'll find out together. I'm out of here. Good night.